Hello everybody, welcome to what I'm calling a count with me, because it's really a stitch with me. These beautiful springy flowers are not in my garden, they're in my mum and dad's beautiful garden. Good morning Floss Tube, and a very happy Easter to you. It is 7:41 on Easter Sunday morning. I'm just up. I have just made my first hot cup of coffee, which I badly need. I'm cropping my hair out of the picture because I have not brushed it yet. It's in a sleep mode. I don't care because it is time to start my Celtic Summer Lady as my Easter present to myself. So last night I got my fabric and I put it right in this very top corner. Like I said, the fabric gets more mottly as it goes down. So I'm going to start top left, right up here, with enough so that I can frame it in the X number of years it takes me to do this. And it's time to get going. So I have just this second popped the pattern out of its packet, brand new pattern out of its packet. So I'm doing this. What I do need is a bag, a project bag to put it in. So later on, sorry I have not brushed my hair. I have a very scrappy plait hanging down the back there. I will sort myself out later on. It is beautiful. Sorry, I'm not even straight. You can see this is off the cuff, and there's clean bed linen on the side of the. Look, it's going to be better if I just bring you down. And it's a worktop. It's got printing ink on it. Oh dear. Let's bring you down onto my lap, and we'll simply talk about stitching instead. Let's see if I can manage this. That's probably better. Oh God, no, you don't want to see what's on the floor. Luckily that's a crochet blanket. That's my boy's crochet blanket. Don't want to see what's on my floor. I will sort this out and probably crop some of this out anyway, so you won't see too much of the hideousness. This is my living room. I have lots of jobs to do this week. Right, so first things first, good morning and happy Easter. And I was excited. I woke before my alarm. The sun is, that's what I was saying, it's dawned a beautiful clear blue day here today in very, very, very north UK where I am. And I'm just trying to find the key here. I need H. Oh my God, I'm going straight in with the needle paints. Fantastic! I'm starting straight away with the needle paints. 2005 is what I need. 28 count, 2 over 2. 11 1/4 by 17. I need 2005. So I'm starting top left corner. Here's my first stitch, and it's 2005. So let's find the 2005 needle paint. It's the very dark purple. Look at them, look at them. These had better be fantastic, I tell you. I've said yesterday, I will cry if these are awful to stitch with. But they feel just like DMC. Is it DMC? Is it just over dyed DMC? Who knows? 10 metres. It's 10 metres, so it's not, because... Oh, maybe it is. Oh, anyway, let's just get on with it, shall we? Let's not debate it. So, it is a beautiful, clear day here. Absolute blue sky by the looks of it. A couple of clouds on at the horizon that I can see out towards Hadrian's Wall. I know that sounds dramatic. I can't see Hadrian's Wall from my house. I just know it's over there. And yes, it's lovely. Bodes well for a cup of tea in my parents' garden at tea time today. We are booked in for a cup of tea. So I need to do a little bit of baking, something Eastery. My mum has made a simnel cake. And the only thing about the simnel cake that I will eat is the marzipan off the top. it will have the toasted balls of marzipan on the top, which I will devour, as many of them as she'll let me have. But yeah, avid marzipan eater, cannot manage Simnel cake. Just about everything in a fruit cake makes me go, ugh. That's why I don't get on very well with Christmas cooking. Right, Mr. Needle Paint 2005. Let's split this. Oh, it's thin. It's finer than DMC. Okay, so this is how I do it. I've got 4 in my right hand. I've got 2 in my left hand. I pull it enough so that I can take those under those fingers and pinch the 4. So I've got the 2 under that finger and I've pinched the 4. I'm holding it. I put my finger in it and I pull down, which makes the twist all twist out past my finger. So I'm pulling my left hand and it's just pulling through. Facebook's waking up, sorry, there's going to be tings and pings. And then you let it go and they twizzle. And they just take the extra twist out of them. So I just kind of groom them a little bit. And then I've got 2 strands to use and 4 strands for later. So let's do it. Let's put some stitches into my Celtic Lady. So I'm going to start at the border. I thought long and hard about starting in the middle or starting middle top and her face and all of that, and I tie a knot. Yes, I tie knots. They're small knots. It's just how I roll. And I'm going to start round about there. So just need to bring myself, whoa, kicked you, I knew I was going to kick you up a little bit so that I can rest you underneath. Sorry, I've got my scubbiest old pyjamas on. Never mind, these things are meant to be worn until destruction. Okay, so I'm just going to do a straight line. So to get myself started, I'm just going to do a straight line that way, and then I'll start my next thread and do a straight line down, and that gives me a start. It's not the most prettiest of starts, because obviously I'd rather have started here, but I'm going to start up here and set the stage. So once I've got a strand in this way and a strand in that way, I've got something I can count and work across. And then what I'll probably do is some of this, some of this, some of this, and sort of work my way down. And ideally today I'd like to do this S. I'm heading this way to do the S today, but I'm going to go that way and then work my way down so that I'm counting all the way, and then I can come across to the top of her head, and then I'm hoping go from the top of her head straight down, and try and remember to fill in these bits as I go. Now I know this is going to take me a long time, I'm under no illusion, but as of right now I'm just going to pop some stitches in. So let's just have it as a little bit of a stitch with me. Here we go, first stitch is in, guys, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to restart the camera so that I've got a stopping point in my camera roll so that I can zoom right into this. Right, so now I can crop out the outside and zoom it in so that you're actually looking at me if you're watching. Hopefully you're stitching, hopefully you're having a lovely day and you've done whatever you're going to do. I know a lot of people go to church on Easter Sunday, but a lot of the churches in the UK, I was just watching the news before I crowbarred myself out of my bed, that it's mostly still online at the minute. I don't know if they're actually open for worship. I used to go to church an awful lot. I did, all through my teens. I carried the candle, I wore the robes, I carried the candle. Church of England, here in the UK. So I've thought long and hard about it, and I think the stories are very clever. I think the people who wrote the Bible did the best they could with the information that they had available to them at the time. Doesn't mean other things didn't exist. They didn't know about dinosaurs because they'd never come across the fossils. So they couldn't write about them, could they? They couldn't tell stories about things they had no idea about. Anyway, it's not just a blanket, that's this and this is that. Yeah, absolutely, everybody can make up their own mind about whatever they want. So, I do appreciate Easter as a sign of renewal and rebirth and the coming of spring and the changing of the season, which I guess in days of yore I'd be pagan. I'm guessing, being a British person, but yeah. I'm not, I'm definitely not, but I just like what I can see and what I can touch. Anyway, so beautiful day today. I'm going to make some cake. Now my dad's very partial to an almond macaroon. We're not talking macaron, posh things. I'm not saying I can't make them, I've never made them. He likes a macaroon, which is just simply ground almonds, egg whites and caster sugar, which you just mix equal quantities of and kind of squish them down onto rice paper and put an almond in the middle, and we all love them and cover them as fast as we can. Only problem is my rice paper's used up. Well, there was a little bit of tatty rice paper left and I hoyed it, so he doesn't like them as much when they're not on rice paper because the rice paper's the fun bit. So I may or may not make some of those for my dad. I know I've always got ground almonds. This is one of those things that I keep store cupboard. I might make some carrot cake because we're all rather taken with carrot cake, and I've got an extremely good recipe that uses oil for carrot cake. So that's really good. It's a really good recipe, and I've tweaked it because when we used to do bike races, hi if you knew, we used to run a bike shop. It was Robin's thing, Robin's dream, and we owned and ran a bike shop for 6 years. We weren't very good business people. Robin's a sweetheart, he'll do anything for anybody. So he used to fix people's bikes instead of trying to sell them new ones. If he could mechanically fix what was wrong with the bike, he would. Instead of going, oh, suck his teeth, tut, you'll need a whole new set of running gear from Shimano, it's going to be 300 and something pounds. He used to go, hang on a minute, I think I've got the screw for that back in my box. And he'd rummage around in his tin and he'd find what he needed, fixed the bike and said, oh, you're all right, mate, we've had a nice chat. So yeah, we weren't terribly good business people, but we ran our business as a, you know, the only regret we've got is that we clung on too long and started to get into debt with it. But other than that, it was, you know. And for a while we ran races. We had a race team. So we ran a race team, you know, very minor. All the local lads who had any fight in them came and raced for us. We had a big team at one point. I think there was like nearly 20 of them at one point. 2016, 2017. We had quite a big group of them. And we ran British cycling races in the northwest. And when we first took over the first race, there was literally a cup of tea and coffee and packets of biscuits, and people paid for it. And I was like, hang on a minute, they've paid to enter a race. Surely a cup of tea should be on the house. So the following year when we did the race, I made a cake. And we did the tea and the cake on the house, because that's a nice way of doing it, isn't it? So it got more and more elaborate. So I used to make tray bakes, and so for a race you'd get 120 guys plus. So we'd do an elite. It was an E1-2 race. So the elite racers, which there was only ever a couple, and then the category Cat 1 and Cat 2 riders, who were much more experienced and much faster, was one race. And then we had a 3-4. So the 4 being the least experienced, the new guys, the guys who've just got a racing license. Those kind of guys. It was a much slower race. with a lot more people in it usually. But we could max out at 60 a race. So sometimes we'd have 120 riders, sometimes wives, sometimes kids. Sometimes they came on a team bus, you know, with a manager and somebody to drive the bus and somebody to hand out water bottles. So we had a fair number of people at the end of the race in a community centre. You know, everybody getting changed and talking. It was quite vibrant. And I did the spread, and that was my thing. And then it got kind of known that you came to our races, you got a good spread afterwards, and it was good crack. So that was good fun. So people liked to come to our races. Unfortunately, British Cycling kind of didn't support the local small guys who put on and put effort in. So we weren't getting any support really from British Cycling. And when we closed the shop, we were hoping to keep running the events, but British Cycling weren't really interested, so we stopped everything. And Robin, the heart had gone for Robin. He was very sad for a long time. He now even grumbles pumping up my bike's tyres. The only bit of bike stuff we haven't really got rid of is my good bike. I have a good bike. It's too good for me. It cries when I ride it. You know, it wants to be racing. It doesn't want to be ridden by an old lady. So anyway, so I have these stock recipes of really, really good. I'm getting quite close to the edge there. I've just caught the edge of my fabric. I will zigzag round it later today because I haven't yet. Like, I've just caught the edge of my fabric and caught a thread. I'll fix that up later because I don't want it raggledy-ing. Oh, there we go. So there's one length of needle paint in there. Sorry, there's a lot of noise in this room. You might or might not be able to hear. We've got the 2 fish tanks. The goldfished one is the low buzz you can hear. I might put you in a 2-second clip at my goldfish. Only we've just cleaned them out, so you can actually see them really well at the minute. And the dribbly noise is the big tank, which while the buckets are out I will top up, but I haven't done it yet. And as I say, all I did this morning was get out of bed and come flinging downstairs to get on with this. So I've not put my fabric in very straight. And this I'm really, oh, she says, probably pulls it off. I was about to say that my, never mind. Nah. Right. Okay, another strand. So I'll also filter myself out a needle minder that I like for this fancy lady. So same again. This time it's 2 strands in each hand. Exactly the same. Under those, pinch it, hold it. You can see my hand does the same thing. It's muscle memory there. Pinch it there, pull it through. It's useful particularly for variegated threads so that you get the matching 2 strands. There we are. And I'm the kind of knitter that if I've got the right colour yarn and it's an Aran weight yarn and I only want 4-ply, I will split. If it splits, I'll split the yarn. I've split whole balls of yarn like this down into thinner quantities. I've had quite a good response actually. I was a bit shy about showing my knitted long dog. It's a funny thing, you know. I mean, I would say if you'd asked me 2 years ago what my craft was, I would say I'm a knitter. I've always knitted. I always knew how to cross stitch, but I haven't always cross stitched, if you see what I mean. I have always knitted. Whatever I've been doing any time, I've always had a bit of knitting. I don't think I took knitting to sea with me. I should have taken a couple of hanks of sock yarn, shouldn't I, and made myself tons of pairs of cosy homemade socks. Except I'm only very good at making one sock. But then I could have had a whole load of odd socks, I suppose. So I've done my 1 strand across. Now I'm doing my 1 strand down, which will give me my starting corner. And these are stitching very nicely. If I had to say, I'd say it's slightly thinner than DMC. It looks to me about as thick as standard sewing thread. You know, like you get on an ordinary spool of Gutermann sewing thread. That's the sort of thickness I would say that is. as one strand. But as 2 strands on the 28, yeah, I like it. And that very dark purple is standing out really nicely. I know it's the outside border, but it's standing out really, really nicely here on my 28 count over 2, which makes the crosses 14 count. Yes, so my knitted long dog, I was quite nervous about showing it, and I'm not 100% sure why. I didn't want anyone to think I was showing off or, you know, doing something really unusual and fancy. But the first garment, I will actually look, see if it's not been eaten by rats in the loft. I believe it's in a plastic box, so it should be all right. If I need to go up there, actually. I really, really want to find my dimensions kit, the one piece of cross stitch I did do before. That's Donna. Donna, that's you. I think you're just up saying Happy Easter. I want to see if I can find that in the loft, but I want to see if I can also find the box of jerseys, of my hand knitted jerseys that I've made in the past, because I kind of want to show. I want to show and tell. But I particularly want my first thing, and it's a total mess, and I'll explain. But what I did was I found my mum's book of, I think they're Danish, it might be Dutch, might be Danish, embroidery motifs, and I found a Rowan knitting book, also my mum's, and it had a cardigan that had, oh, very dramatic, it was like an evening cardigan. It had swirls, it was black with turquoise or magenta swirls all over it, but what it had was the shape of the pattern for the back, for the sleeves and for the fronts. So what I did was I drew them on graph paper. Sorry, I've got morning in my throat. The answer's lots of coffee, very milky coffee. I'm a high milk consumer. The more milk the better. Gosh, when lattes came out, I was in heaven, because up until then I'd been a bit hit and miss with coffee, and then all of a sudden I could order a latte. And I can actually remember lattes suddenly being an option, because they weren't before. Anyway, I've lost my thread. Yes. So I drew the shapes out onto graph paper, and I basically glittered all over the pattern cross stitch motifs, and I think I need to get it out as part of my story. And I went into the House of Fraser. Now, people in the UK might remember the House of Fraser. They've only just recently gone completely bust, but they used to have a haberdashery department, and this is back when I lived in Sheffield, and I used to go to Sheffield with my mum on a Saturday morning. My mum worked on a Saturday morning, and so I went in the car with her, and then I'd walk around town, and then I would catch the bus home, and that was my Saturday. And on Saturday tea time, we used to always have baked potatoes with beans, cheese and bacon. That was our Saturday tea, and it was like the best treat in the world. We had a very kind of regimented, because my dad was Royal Navy, so he liked things, you know, he likes to know what's happening, hence why I've booked us in for a cup of tea rather than just turning up off the cuff. He's brilliant as long as he knows exactly what's happening and when. Anyway, so in the House of Fraser in Sheffield, to ride the escalators up to the top floor, and there was a big haberdashery department with yarn. And I used to go, and I knew it called to me, and I was probably 13 or 14 at the most, I should think, because I used to wear this thing when I was in the sixth form, and I was 16 and 17 in the sixth form. And it took me a long time to make it, and I found a big ball of taupe, probably taupe, it's not a very nice colour, yarn, and I bought 2 of these and thought, yay, that's going to be enough to make a cardigan. And my mum had a fair on stash, all little bits and pieces, so it would have worked absolutely perfectly had I used the same weight yarn, but I didn't know how to make, how I didn't know about yarn weight then because I was a child, and I think my mum just kind of went, oh yeah, do whatever, you know, little fine, well, that's a bit weird kind of thing, you know. My mum's I buy this for this project, I use it all up, I put the tiny piece left. And when we're talking knitting, my mum used to knit samples for Rowan back in the early 90s. She was a sample knitter. So the ones you saw on the photographs of patterns, there was a particularly brilliant one called Camel Train that she knitted. Yeah, so she was good enough to be a sample knitter. That was my mum. And yeah, she's an extraordinarily useful human being, my mum. When she was working on these Saturday mornings, she used to work at a boutique that sold designer, you know, we're talking Hugo Boss, Escada, Moschino, things like that. That it sold really, this is early 90s, so stuff was monumentally expensive. So she used to work there, and she was the alterations lady. So she would make these beautiful Italian designer clothes fit the people who came in to buy them, shall we say. So we've got some lovely buttons in her button tin from all the odd bits and pieces, and occasionally she'd bring back a scrap of fabric because somebody had wanted a floor length skirt, knee length. So, you know, the people she worked for would just look at her and go, you just put that in the bin, surely. And my mum would be like, no, I'm not going to put that in the bin. So, yes, that's what my mum did. Anyway, this cardigan. So I knitted this cardigan, and of course it was huge because the pattern was for double knitting, not Aran weight yarn, which is thick. So it was huge, and its sleeves were huge and billowy. So what I did was I made them like a frill, because the sleeve was like this wide on my sleeve. So I put elastic in it and gathered it so that it sat around like that, and they were big balloony sleeves. If I can find it, I will pull it out and I will show you, because it is quite entertainingly funny. But that was my first thing, and I used cross stitch motifs, so I kind of always knew that you could do it. And then when we were talking about patchwork and what else could we use these patterns for, cross stitch patterns in general, I suddenly thought, I wonder if I could knit a long dog. And there it went from there. Right, so that's my H. That's that first bit there done. So I am going to need H again down here. So I'm going to save this piece that I've already just threaded up. So that's my 2005. I'm just going to pop that there. So I have a little start. I've been at this 20 minutes. We'll maybe go about half an hour, and I'll maybe show you something else. I'll get some little clips of the day because it is beautiful today. Oh no, there's a cloud out the front. The back garden's still clear blue, and the front out the front now is kind of gone hazy. Bear in mind we're quite high. We're at the top of a hill here. We are halfway to Alston, which from Alston further you go up to Hartside, which is the high point round here, which then drops you down into Penrith, and then the Lake District starts there. So we're still a good hour north of the Lake District, even though we are far northwest. To go for a day at the lakes, we still have to drive for about an hour south. 936 is the next colour I need. Let's see if I've got it in my bundle. My bundle of colours. So I'm looking for 936. I will. What I'm going to do, what I'm hoping to do, is make myself a project bag that kind of opens like a book. So it unzips. It's not just a project bag. So on one side, it's got the zip, which has got the pocket for my fabric. I'm not awake. But then, so my zip's there, but then this bit opens so that then on the inside I've got pockets to put the treasure braid, I've got pockets to put the beads, I've got a pocket I can slip the pattern into. Do you see what I mean? It's going to open and then have either more zippy pockets, so I'm not too sure yet, and a pocket for my needle paints, so it's going to be specifically a Celtic Lady's bag. So I'm going to think about, I've forgotten the number I'm looking for, 93? I don't think it's one I've got here. 936. It might be one I'm missing. If it is, I will run and get my 936, 938. No, it doesn't look like I have 936 here. There were a couple missing, unless it's this one. There it is, olive green. How many people were shouting, "It's olive green! What are you looking through the skin colours for?" And I'm doing her as charted. I appreciate she is very pale. But oh, to this first one, I'm doing her as charted now. Does it pull out because it's got the funny tab? No, I didn't think it would. There is a little funny. See, look, these are 1980s DMCs with the little tab on them, but there is nothing to say that this DMC doesn't work just as well as any DMC ever did. And I am going to use it because it would be sad if it just sat on its skein its entire life, wouldn't it? I'm just going to get these loops off here because I have a funny feeling that's the bit I'm pulling through. This isn't fiddly. There. Yes, I thought that was the one I was pulling through. So I'm going to sort myself a project bag, so I need to pick a nice fabric that's long enough, that I've got enough of to make something more unusual with. But I'll sort that out and make it for myself. Oh, so the border's going to be nice and, oh, it's going to look good. As usual, please excuse my slightly grubby nails. I was out in the garden yesterday for a little while. See, I do it exactly the same every single time. It's just obviously the muscle memory of splitting stranded cotton. Okay, so now I need to do a tiny bit of counting. So a knot there, threaded, and my knot, and I am coming across from the corner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 7th across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm coming in 7 and 7. Let's see if I can manage to come in 7 and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 clicks for every stitch because it's over 2. So that should be the bottom corner of that stitch. Let's put that stitch in and come across 2. Right, so that to me looks even, but I'm going to check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it should be in line with that. It is, and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 should be that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is that corner. So I want to go every other one, and then, so here we go again. We'll carry on just for a few more minutes because I actually like talking. I've got a few floss tubes to catch up with this morning. Emma X Stitching put up number 2 yesterday, so I'm going to watch her. I watched yesterday because after I did my floss tube, I basically did some knitting. I got on with my knitting. Desperate to get the dragons out. They're still not, I'm still on their necks. I've not quite got their heads out, but once I've got the dragons' heads out, and I'll be halfway up the bottom pages. That's going to be that's when it's really going to start taking shape. But so yesterday I watched on Prime. I was going to watch The Spanish Princess, but then I realised that the White Princess was Henry VII, and the Spanish Princess, of course, is Catherine of Aragon, which is Henry VIII. I've already watched the White Queen, which is Edward, which is the one before. So I'd already watched that, so I didn't want to re-watch. I've not watched that far enough away ago to re-watch that yet. So I thought, right, well, I've done Edward. I need to do Henry VII before I do Henry VIII. So I watched The White Princess. I fear there must be another season, because it ends rather before the story wraps up, as it were, before, you know, Henry VII kicks the bucket and Arthur takes over. So there's probably another season in there somewhere, but it's not either made or it's not up on telly yet. So now I've watched that, and I got it all in the afternoon. I started in the afternoon and watched it into the kind of, well, I watched all the episodes. They just rolled one after the other. I do like costumes very much. I find I can watch almost anything if there's costumes that are worth looking at. So, well, I enjoyed it anyway. And it's a little twist on history. I know it's not quite history as it actually happened, but still reasonably entertaining. So I watched that and didn't watch any YouTube last night. I usually watch Mama Loves UGB on a Sunday morning once she schedules. She films the day before and schedules to post. But she put up messages everywhere yesterday saying her gearbox is broken and was going to be late home and this, that and the other. So I'll watch her later when hers goes up. Mostly tiny stuff she does. I know my projects are much bigger and I finish them much bigger. She says starting a Celtic Lady. And I don't finish as much, but I'm going to have a stab in May at finishing some stuff. I took the top part of the dresser outside and started painting it yesterday, but I think the paint, because the colour on it is very, very bright teal. I can. With this piece of Technic Lego, I can show you the colour on it is this teal here. It's that colour. So it's going to take, this is my boy's cool Technic Lego. Look at this. Gonna have a new, for Easter he has more Technic Lego. I'm a Lego clicker. Small child makes Lego quickly and I come along and click all the pieces neatly together. Oh, no, it hasn't. Look at this. Isn't this marvellous? Like that bit comes up and then goes back there, and then it's got cogs in it. Anyway, it's this colour. See, I've gone off piece. It's this bright teal. Well, that washes out the fabric, doesn't it? Yes, I have Lego sitting on the sofa with me, and a whole load of other stuff. It would appear. Meh. That's my house. So it's going to take quite a few coats of this very, very quiet dove grey that I bought. My tastes are clearly changing that little bit now, that's all. You know, I'm clearly I've gone through I must paint my house in bright colours. Yes, my living room is navy blue. I am thinking of changing it up a little bit because it's quite dark in here. And I know a lighter wall colour makes all the difference. I am thinking about doing it, but the wall is I've still got, I really need to fix the walls because I have bare plaster from where we had a leak a couple of years ago and the plaster got very wet. It was under the bath. We thought it was the chimney, but it was under the bath. Everything is in the same place. So, yeah. So it could really do with a bit of a zhuzh in here. It would still need to tie in I won't repaint the ceiling, which is kind of ice blue, I suppose. I don't even do white ceilings. It was the teal that some of the walls are a blob mixed into the white to make it the same tone. Oh look, I've done 3 there. I hope that's the only place I've done that. Can you see I've made a mistake there? Just that last stitch because I was blubbering. I've left three strands instead of 2, which is no good at all. That's coming straight out. Oops. Right. Floofy old DMC. Re-strand that, rethread that, and let's do it right. There we go. If I ever make mistakes like that, obviously I go back and fix them. Even if I'd made the mistake back this end, it would still all have come out. I won't leave mistakes like that. So I'm just assuming. We shouldn't assume, never assume anything. No, we shouldn't assume anything. Assumption is the mother of all. Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. I'm going to call this count with me, not stitch with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 4 more stitches. That much thread. Yes. I was just going to keep on keeping on then. But no, we're not going to keep on keeping on because that's not how this works. 41. Yeah, so this is count with me. 42. 43. And 44. And we're going to do another count with me here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, so we still have a tiny bit of thread. So just because I'm me and I'm going to push it just that little bit more, I'm coming down 1. I'm coming down 2, so 2 full stitches in between, and another one down there. So now I'm going back the way just for 3 or 4 stitches until I've used up my floss. I mean, I'm not crazy economical with my floss because I will carry across the back of a full coverage, 4 inches maybe. Yeah, probably about that much is about 3 inches. It's probably about as much as I will ever carry, but I will always use my line, I'll always use my thread until the very last bit. And as you can see there from my back, it doesn't matter to me which way I make my cross stitches. Those ones are like that, these ones are like this, and then I've started coming back the way with completely different. It just as it is as it is. Okay, what are we at? 35. We're at a passable stitch with me length here, and I don't even know what I've even said. Crikey, I could have said anything. It's really weird when you record these. To other people who do them, they probably get the same feeling. You look at your timer, because in the corner, obviously, as you're recording, your timer's going, and you look at it and you go, how have I got to 35 minutes? What on earth have I been talking about? Very strange. depending on how much mess I can crop out, I'm going to take you outside and show you the sky and my living willow hedge, which is burst into life, and I've got to, I only half trimmed it, but now it's growing. I have to just cut the growing bits off because you can't weave it in once it's growing and the sap's running. It snaps rather than bends. Anyway, I'm just going to grab the next colour. 6 is the next colour, and 6 is not here. 6 is beads. Okay, and star. 731. Right, I'm going to not put beads on it right now today, just until I know where my Q-snap's going to sit, because I don't want to end up squashing beads, because I imagine I'm going to need to come, the middle is here, so I don't want to, it's about here, the middle, so I don't want to end up putting beads that I've put here under this. So we'll leave the beads for now. So I'm looking for a star, which is 731. Did we see 731? Is 731 one of the colours that's not here? 7777. This is definitely right. I don't have 731. I will be returning. Okay, so after 5 minutes of frenetic rummaging, turns out I don't have 731, but I have 730 and 732, and the difference in the colour between 730 and 732 is negligible, so I figure 731 sits between. So I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and use 732 instead. So this is one of Sandy's, San Diego's, out of the box. I've got a skein of it in my master set, but I thought, well, I'll keep this little bit. I don't think it's going to use very much, so I thought I'll keep this extra skein in my what will be my project bag for this, but which I haven't made yet. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to use 732, and I'm not going to sweat it. The beads that go in here, let's have a look at which beads go in here. Right, the beads are, what did we decide the beads were? 6s. 666. 3062. Oh wow, those are the beads. They're the dark midnight blue shinies. Oh well, they're going to look glorious. So I don't see any reason why this little colour here might not pop brilliantly. And just have a quick peek at the pattern, as it's a repeater. The star goes between every other 2. So my first one is here, and then it will have beads either side of it. So the second pair has 2, and then I miss 1, and then it's the second pair, so it's 1, 2, 3. This is definitely a count with me. We'll just put a couple of these in, and then we'll call it good. I'll take a couple of clips from around and about, and there's a stitch with me done, which is nice for a Sunday morning. 2 there, 2 here, and I will, when I turn the camera off and put the telly on and make my second cup of coffee, I'm just going to clatter on with this and see what I can get done. And then you'll get a little extra video, because I'm feeling good today. I'm still going to intend to do my floss tubes as I just need to temper my enthusiasm with how much stitching I'm going to be able to do soon. I just don't know. If the orders don't pick up at my original job, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen anyway, because, you know, at the moment they just furlough us, or this coming week they're getting the furlough pay from the government and enforcing us to take our holiday days, which is not pleasing because it leaves me with no spare days. And I don't go on holiday. We can't afford to go away on holiday. There's 6 of us. You know, it's not like we go abroad or anything at all. The most we go away is the weekend before Christmas, and we go to Centre Parks when we can go to Centre Parks, which is only in Penrith, which is only about 45 minutes away from us, for 2 nights. So that's the sum total of our going away. So my boss knows that. She also knows I've got lots of kids, and she also knows that I like to keep a couple of holiday days just in case. So if something happens to one of them, like when Lizzie had her asthma attack, I can take a couple of days off and still get paid for them and not have to take it as unpaid. But apparently not. She's not allowing us to save up days this year. We've just got to take the holiday because she's enforcing a company shutdown and calling it holiday. So I'm taking my week off because I have to, and it's going to be my last week off for a long, long time. That's Eric just sharpening his claws on Robin's chair. Hey, Poopy, don't do that. Eric, come here. Come over and say good morning. Come here. Come here. He's just out of shot. He's just there, out of shot. Came outside with me yesterday. Crept out on his belly. He's been an inside cat almost completely, but now he's neutered and chipped and better. We'll let him out a little bit, hopefully not outside the front door. I think the world at the moment is very, very frightening until a bird flies over and then he's like, bird, and then he's back to being really super scared. But no, he's just run up the stairs. Have you heard that? Yeah, so he crept out on his belly yesterday, but the ferrets who were in that corner were going bananas. They were like full of the joys of spring, the ferrets were. And he is, yeah, pretty terrified of the ferrets. So he crept out where he didn't think they'd see him and sort of lay there on his, crouched down right on his haunches, looking really, really spooked. Until a bird flew over and he was like, bird. And then he was like, oh, scared, 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 bird, scared, scared, scared. Really funny. But when I went in, he just scooted in front of me. Yes, when I was just running an experiment with the paint and the bright turquoise, there's also like shocking Barbie pink on it as well, which I am over. So the piece of Welsh dresser that I'm going to put on the wall above our bed head where I film. Eventually, long term, haha, it'll never happen, by the way. I'd like to just, we need the roof done on the house. The roof is past its serviceable life, and I'd really like to have the inside of the roof, you know, the loft space, which isn't a feasible space to turn to loft convert because the head height's really low. I can stand up fully in the middle, and then I've got scary spidery stuff either side of my head basically. So it's not terribly high ceiling height in the loft. We've got the turn of the roof is in the upstairs bedrooms, which makes them quite quirky, but there's not a lot of ceiling height actually in the loft space. But I would really, really like to have it boarded out. When we eventually do get the loft done, I will have Velux windows, so roof windows put in. And if I can get the floorboarded and insulation between the roof tiles and the trusses, and then we board the inside, then at least I can have space. And yes, I might need to kneel, I might need to sit down on the floor, and it'll be floor cushions, but it will give me a craft space, because that's one thing I'm I just crave a small space of my own that isn't in my, you know, I don't have to tidy up to actually go to sleep, because my craft space is my bed. It would be really nice if I had. And we don't have extra rooms because it's a small British house and I've got lots of people. And feasibly, to get a bedroom, I'm looking at 8 years, really, before there's a spare bedroom. And I'd kind of like a space before then, but it's probably going to take me 8 years to save up for a loft to be done. There we go. So those stitches in, they went in really well. So there's going to be beads either side of those. I'll get my other strand there and fill that bit in. And then I've got another pattern, and then another pattern, and then a line. So I've put in this bit, so I've got that pattern, this pattern, those, and then onto the S. And my goal today is to do the S, but as you see, I'm going to use the full thread. I'm not just going to put in 4 stitches, move down, 4 stitches, move down. I'll do that bit as I get to it. So there we go, guys. That's my first little piece done. I have started her. I've not started her, but I have started the pattern. I've already improvised with a colour, but I think, judging that 730 and 732 are so close in colour, 731 must sit between them. It's not suddenly going to be a bright colour, is it? Like, you know, suddenly DMC changes, you know, one will be yellow and then the next colour in the sequence will be bright purple, and it's like these don't fit in a rainbow. But when you get a run of tonal colours, it doesn't suddenly put a bright orange between two very, very similar olive greens. Anyway, my olive green looks nice. And if it turns out later on that it's not the right colour at all and it doesn't fit, I'll get 731 and put it in where it's meant to go, because there it's going to look really pretty with the beads in. Right, guys, I have started 3 colours. Started my needle paints. Slightly thinner, I think, than DMC. Yes, I think you can actually even see that these crosses are slightly finer than these are. But very nice to stitch with. It just stitched really nicely. And put my little cover photo back in there. And I will take you outside and show you the sky before it looks like it's going to go cloudy. You can hear them. Don't know if you can see them. My enormous guinea pigs. Oh, they're forest enormous guinea pigs. Hello, guys. There we go. Let's put you some veggies in, huh? Oh, I don't know if we can get them because of the light. This one here is Milk. He's a big guinea pig. Got a piece of apple there. And the other one has gone in its bed. That's Biscuit. There's Milko, though. I had to have a word before about skipping them out. Let's have a look, see. They live here in this nice thing. Upstairs, downstairs job going on. And their food bowl is, as usual, upside down. I need to go and get some food for that. Oh, there's food in the other dish. Right, so I'll take in the waters. Take in that water. I'm back in a sec with them. I don't know if you can see the living willow. I have a hedge that runs across there. And that goes into an arch there. Polytunnels up there. There's the shed. There's the greenhouses. Here's the guinea pigs. And there's Eric. He is outside. There we go, everybody. Eric is outside, if you can see him hiding there by the garden stuff. Let's go to the tip. There he is. So it's a little bit later, and I've done a little bit more, but I've already made a mistake, so I'm doing some happy frogging here. These little things, these little shapes here should have lined up with this purple, and I've done them 1 stitch in, and then consequently I then followed my mistake. I compounded my mistake below, so I am frogging them out because this is needle paint, which is not to be wasted. So I'm carefully unpicking my stitches, both lines. It's now 11:30. I am up, I am showered, I have got proper clothes on, and yeah, I'm still the only person in the house that's up. As I say, down comes somebody. So I'm just about to wrap up my video for today and post it. So I thought I'd just show you where I've got to. So we're under artificial light now, and yeah, it's showing a bit wonky on the colour. But as you can see, she's got hair, the S is done, and yeah, she's going to have some skin by tonight. I'm just debating whether I'm going to be doing it 1/1. I think I possibly am going to do her skin 1/1. But I'm going to get the hair in first, because I'm cracking on with that. There's another 4 colours to put in the hair, but I think most of the hair's already done there. And we'll see how it looks later on. But bye for now. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I hope you've all had a lovely happy Easter day. Bye.